Hola, ¿cómo está? My name is Bill Roberts, and today I'll be taking you through a crash course on the Scale network. It's going to be worthwhile. If you're an amateur or you've been in the cryptocurrency world for a very long time, I bet this is for you. So, on the course, I'll be talking about Scale, a brief definition, the Skale Scale token, and some very basic things you might need to know about the Scale network. Sit tight as I scale you through this. Yes, talking about Scale. Scale was created in January 2018, that is 2018, by Stan Klatko and Jack O'Dearin. They received support and seed backing from Floodgates and Signalgate Ventures, with funding and backing from various companies, numerous companies to be precise. So, we are going to be talking about Scale, and we want to define Scale with 5 points. These points will be broken down to the basics that even if you are a novice to the crypto world, or you've been in the crypto world for a vast number of years, this will be very interesting for you and you can comprehend this with ease. So fear not. So let's get started. Throughput. What is a throughput? Throughput can be referred to as a number / amount of data that can be transferred from one location to another in a given amount of time. Now, the amount of data that is to be transferred from one system to another in a given amount of time can be referred to as a throughput, and this time is processed per unit time. For example, you can say bits transmitted per second, millions of transactions per second, operations per day. Now, talking about latency, which can also be referred to as delay. Latency refers to how long it will take data to arrive at a given destination from its source, like from this system to a server, and it is processed in units of time, which is seconds, nanoseconds, hours, minutes, compared to throughput, which is not processed in units of time. Elastic blockchain. What is an elastic blockchain? An elastic blockchain is a network that comprises of many nodes on the block that can be put together to have subgroups run different blockchains. An elastic sidechain. What is an elastic sidechain? An elastic sidechain can be referred to as a fixed set of network virtualized subnodes that accept users' transaction, run Scale consensus, store identity copy of Scale blockchain. Now, I'm talking about this in this case of Scale. Alright, the Byzantine fault. Now, talking about the Byzantine fault, think of the Byzantine fault as an insider attack or a mole in a group or a given system. Now, think of the US Marines or these warriors as depicted in the photos about to invade or attack a specific location. They need to pass information and get to a point of unanimous consensus in order for the attack to be successful. Also, think of a case where there is a mole or there is a traitor amongst this that might alter or give bad signals for some malicious reasons. So this is considered the Byzantine fault. So the Byzantine fault tolerance is the property of a system that is able to resist the cause of failure. Like in the case of blockchain, this has to do with the nodes. The nodes have to get to a consensus to avoid failure. So Byzantine fault tolerance is the property of a system that is able to resist the cause of failure. It can continue operating even in the case where some of the nodes fail to communicate or act maliciously. So, running through from the points we took our time to highlight and define, from throughput to latency to elastic blockchain to elastic sidechain and the Byzantine fault tolerance, we will use these words to define what Skale is and highlight the basic and the key features of Skale. So, from the definitions, we can say that Skale network is a high throughput, low latency, configurable Byzantine fault tolerant elastic blockchain network built interoperably with Ethereum. Skale is an elastic blockchain network with fully decentralized chain instantly compatible with Ethereum. Skale runs up to 2,000 transactions per second per chain. Now, this has to do with the throughput we were talking about, how fast a transaction can go. So Skale runs about 2,000 transactions per second per chain. It runs a full state smart contract, supports decentralized storage, execute roll-ups and machine learning in the Ethereum virtual machine, which is the EVM. So the SKL, the Skale token. I know by now you'll be wondering, what is the Skale token? So I'm going to put you through this real quick. The Skale token is the ERC 777 utility token. The Skale token is a hybrid used token which represents the right to work in the network for the validators. For the validators, the token is their right to work in the network. Stake as delegator. So this token enables the delegators to stake or access a share of its resources by deploying and renting elastic sidechains for a period of time as a developer. So this gives the developer a period of time to run some things on the elastic sidechain. Also talking about the Skale token, users pay the Skale token subscription model to rent these resources, and these resources range from computation, storage, bandwidth, etc. for a predetermined period of time in the form of an elastic sidechain. So, going more about the Skale token, what are the four main functions facilitated by the Skale token? As listed, you see security of and staking in the network, payment method of Skale chain subscription fee, reward for validators and delegators taking their tokens, and it also functions when it comes to governance and voting. So talking about security and staking in the network, token holders, that is the delegators, the validators that runs nodes that makes the network function by validating blocks, securing and executing smart contracts, they are in turn rewarded with Skale tokens. Skale for the effort they put into work. Now, talking about payment method for Skale chain subscription fee. Scale token is used as a subscription access to Elastic blockchain using the Scale network token Scale. So we'll now go further to talk about reward for validators and delegators taking their tokens. Based on monthly infection or rise of token into the network, inflation rather, and fees paid by developers, rewards are accumulated monthly. So we now proceed to governance and voting. Scale network tokens is used for non-chain voting, which will in turn control all economic parameters of the Scale network. So we now proceed to who uses the Scale token. This is a very important part of the crash course. I know right now you might be wondering who uses the Skale, which is the Scale token. Sit tight as I take you through some users of the Scale token. First on the list, as you can see, is the validator, and second we have the delegators, and the third we have the developers slash the users. So I will pick the first thing and talk about it and proceed with time. Now, talking about the validators, they need the token to run nodes on the block in form of a fee and token or through inflation. That is, the validators need token to run nodes on the block, which is a very important point to note. Now we will go down to the delegators. Now delegators are the people that have the token but do not have what it takes to run nodes. Maybe the technical know-how, the gadgets, the software required all the time to run nodes. So they can delegate their tokens to validators and also earn some rewards. Now we will talk about developer slash users. And the developer slash users, the developer slash the user needs the token to rent resources. Like, the developer or the user cannot rent resources without the use of the Skale token. And the resources they might want to rent, or the resources available for rent with this token, for example, is the storage, the bandwidth, and computation for a specific amount of time in the form of an elastic side chain. Alright, thank you for staying with us through the short course. I hope it was interesting and I hope you learned a little or more about Scale. In subsequent time, we'll make more videos about the Scale project, and we'll cover a range of topics from Scale Manager, Scale Protocol, the Scale virtualized subnodes. We will talk about the Scale security. We'll talk about the Scale bounty insurance. And we'll talk about the overall security of the network. We will throw more light still on the Scale token, what we have in the market, what we offer, which is different from every other project, and we will talk about our incorporation with the Ethereum. Stay tuned, stay with us, choose Scale. Thank you, see you next time. Adios, amigo.